This is one of the most popular cars in Kazakhstan. Its engine displacement volume is 4.7 liters. This is the car with 249 horsepower. Now the question is for you. Why horsepower is used? How is it measured? Tons, kilograms, meters, kilometers, and horsepower. In your opinion, what does connect them? Yes, these are all units of measurement. For example, if a ton is 1,000 kilograms, then 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Well, 1 horsepower is equal to 740 watts. So the power of this SUV is 184,260 watts. The 21st century is the time of technocrats and technological progress, but people are still measuring car engines in horsepower. It is an interesting matter for Kazakhs who respect and value horses. Was Gabit Mussirepov right when he used to say, a horse is the main wealth of the Kazakhs? In today's program, we will focus on the general situation with horses in Kazakhstan and continue to consider benefits of the Kazakh Karabaiyr horse. Hello, dear viewers. Let's start the program. Let's say I want to give this money to a man so that he buys a horse. I'm more confident that he would choose the English, Kelteke, or Russian breed of horses. But why? But the Kazakh horses, in general opinion, are small and short. They are even unlikely to be able to jump over the fence of the sheep pen. So were the horses of the Kazakh heroes small, or famous tulpars described in folk tales and folklore are a fiction? Of course not. Kazakh horse has always been of graceful nature, tall, and had a prominent body. When did its transformation take place? Kazakh legends, tales, and myths have always featured famous stallions of the Kazakh great heroes together with their masters. The name of a horse and the name of its master left an infinite imprint in the consciousness of the people. Reckoning over the heroism of the Kazakh Batyrs, it should be assumed that their horses were large and had good endurance. In the Kazakh language, there is even a statement that there is no real hero without a stallion. A warrior becomes a hero when he finds a true comrade in arms. Until then, he's not considered a hero regardless of his heroism and bravery. Ovez Gundogdiev. Let's return to the issue of transformation and changes that took place in the Kazakh horse's appearance. After the first quarter of the 18th century, the Russian Empire began the colonization campaign on the Kazakh steppes. As a result, Khan's power was abolished. The mass slaughter of horses began. Heavy taxes were introduced, due to which horse population was significantly reduced. The resettlement policy forced the local Kazakh population to dismount their horses. Since then, Kazakh people ceased to ride horses. National games Kokpar and Bayghe, during which the best horses were selected, have been forgotten. People started to breed horses for sale and for meat. This picture still remains in the consciousness of the majority of people. According to the 2021 census, there are 3.2 million horses in the country. At the same time, 90% of them are bred for the production of meat products and only 10% are intended for equestrian sport. Such are the data. All this means that at the moment in the country, the art of horseback riding is not developed.
Қазақ халқы өзі мың өліп мың тірілген дейміз ба? Қазақ жылқысы да солай күй кешті. Қазақ жылқысын мысалы, қазақ жылқысын түгендемеген, қазақ жылқысын омындап,
The Kazakh people died 1,000 times and survived 1,000 times. The same can be said about Kazakh horses. Previously, horses were not counted in our country. The Kazakhs drove the herd to a lake or river and looked at the water level. If it dropped to a certain point, then it was believed that all the horses were in place. It happened that the horses were driven into a gorge or ravine, mainly in the spring, after wintering. And if the ravine was completely filled, then accordingly all the horses were considered to be in place. Thus, the Kazakhs kept tens of thousands of horses in herds. Out of this huge herd, the Kazakhs selected the best horses. Their tulpars, kazanats, and saiguliks.
Орталыққа шоғырландыру бұл мемлекеттік жылқы болу керек деп, содан ата-бабамыз қашқаны қашты, бергені берді, бермегені. Сонымен ортақ жылқыға айланады, совхоздың жылқысына айланады, колхоздың жылқысына айланады. Міне бірінші күйреу деген осы. Бірінші жылқының Kazakh жылқысына.
When the Soviet power was established, all the Kazakh people's livestock was seized. Most of the horses were slaughtered for meat. The rest were crossbred with other breeds of horses and transferred to the state. It is still unknown how many people died in the steppes during the Kazakh famine, one of the most tragic pages in the history of our people, when all horses, camels, sheep and cows were confiscated from the population. The third stage is the Second World War. In 1941, carriages of Kazakh horses were sent to the front, to the battlefield. This is a true history of the Kazakh horse. After gaining independence, our horses have been returned to the homeland from abroad. However, their names have been changed. The Arab and Turkmen horses were considered to be the most ancient breeds of horses, the English the most purebred. But only the Kazakh horses have originated in the times when the Kazakhs have appeared first. Unfortunately, we have lost those horses. In the previous program, we said that breeds of horses which are now considered purebred descended from the Kazakh Karabaiyr horses and contain their DNA. If the Kazakh horses were small and short, the whole world would hardly be interested in them for the production of their breed. In 2008, the University of Cambridge, the pride of Great Britain and one of the 3 leading universities in the world, launched a 10-year project to study the genetics of all horses in the world and find the oldest breed. Specialists led by Bill Barrett collected genetic material in their laboratory, including the Karabaiyr horses' DNA samples, which were sent by Kazakh scientists to Europe. The expedition led by Bill Barrett also traveled to Afghanistan, China, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Kyrgyzstan, where they collected extensive material. 4 years later, within the framework of the project, 2 major articles were published in the world publications. The articles provided evidence that the modern local horses still keep genetic traces of the horses which were domesticated by the people who inhabited the lands of modern Kazakhstan and formed the Botai culture.
Америкада қазір Апалуза деген тұқым бар. Шауқар жылқылар. Сол Апалуза деген көп қызығатын адамдар бар әлемде. Сол Апалузаға қызығады сондай.
There is an American horse breed Appaloosa. There are thoroughbred horses. People all over the world are interested in this horse breed. So a curious researcher brought such a horse to the Houston laboratory, which is the biggest in the world.
ДНК тест өткізіп, сол Орта Азияға келді. Сол қазір сол жаңағы Houston'da.
He conducted a detailed DNA analysis and compared its results with those obtained in the oldest laboratory in the Central Asia.
Анализдер алып, жаңағы Орта Азияның шауқарларды, біздің шауқарларды сол жақта.
The results showed that Appaloosa also descended from the Kazakh horse breeds.
Көне болып саналады. ДНК тест. Сол тікей дәлел осы Апалуза бізден шыққан.
All this time we've told about the Kazakh Karabaiyr horses. You probably might be curious in this breed that we praised in the previous programs. Let's show you now. Now we are in the Kokpar Club, which is located in Almaty on the slopes of the Ile Alatau mountain range. You probably didn't know that there is such a club in Almaty. This club is the only one in Kazakhstan. The club specializes in the breeding of thoroughbred Karabaiyr horses. Let's better watch rather than talk. Dear viewers, as we promised, we arrived at the Almaty Kokpar Club Dauke. Director of this club is Nurbol Boribek. Hello. Hello. Welcome.
Hoş келдіңіздер біздің клубымызға. Алдарыңызда тұрған нағыз Kazakh Karabaiyr жылқысы.
This is a real thoroughbred Kazakh Karabaiyr horse. His name is Alatau Kaska. Since the foundation of the club, this horse has been one of those that Almaty residents could ride in Kokpar. In addition, this horse has joined one of the teams and will participate in major competitions.
Абай атамыз керемет сәйгүліктерге мінген, керемет аттың төрелеріне мінген. Сол Абай атамыз нағыз Kazakh Karabaiyr'дың.
You know that great poet and writer Abay loved horseback riding. In his poems, Abay described the real Karabaiyr horse as follows. A thick forelock, the ears like reeds, the sunken eye sockets, the forehead is arched, restive. It has thin cheekbones, gentle neck, a curving nape, a notch at the crown. This is a description of the Karabaiyr horse. There is a line from the verse. He looks like a well-fed golden eagle. This fast horse's chest is wide. For a whole year, this horse grazed with others in the herd and distempered its character there.
Бүркіттің төсінде бүйтіп неғып тұрды. Бұл құнанында дөненінде бұндай сипат көрмеген едік. Бұл бір жылға үйірге барып келді. Одан кейін үйірде осындай сипатқа ие болды.
Демек, сіздердің жылқыларыңыз
It turns out that all your horses before entering the club are kept in the mountains, where they pass natural selection and training.
Үйірден шыққан Алатау қосқан өзі үйірден шықты. Одан кейін қателеспесем құнанында немесе.
Yes, the horse Alatau Kaska was kept in a herd. We started to train him at the age of 4. When horses are from 1 to 3, 4 years old, we do not have the opportunity to conduct training because there are a lot of horses. That is, natural learning takes place in the herd. Then the horse joins our club from time to time going back to the herd.
Немесе үйірге барады.
I don't even like old cars. I mean, they don't interest me at all. I'd rather have a goddamn horse. A horse is at least human, for God's sake. Jerome David Salinger. Among all members of the animal world, the horse occupies the 5th position in the capability to analyze and understand human behavior and actions. 6,000 years have passed since horses have been first domesticated and began to be used for economic and other purposes. At the same time, the work on breeding and selection of existing as well as new breeds of horses is proceeding. Today, the number of horses in the world totals 65 million. There are only 250 breeds. The most interesting thing is that other peoples have about 60 names for a horse according to their coat color, and in the Kazakh language, there are 300 of them. Well-known specialist, Major of the Russian Cavalry Ivan Kantinsky confirmed this thesis. In 1892, he wrote, 60% of Kazakh horses are sorrel, chestnut, and gray. The remaining 40% are of other colors, the difference between which we can't even determine.
Енді жылқыға байланысты атау көп. Бұл ең бірінші мына жылқы түстерін өзі әлемдік мынау деңгейде ғалымдар бұрын.
Horses exhibit a diverse array of coat colors. Previously, scientists from all over the world studied the coat color of horses. Now, unfortunately, there is no one to do it. Russian writers, as well as the writers from Romano-Germanic group,
сонда роман герман тілдерінде ол 20-да ел ғой өзі. Сонда небәрі 60 сөз бар екен дейді. Жылқының түсін айқындайды.
who in total represent more than 20 languages, used about 60 words describing the equine coat color in their works. I collected over 400 words. The richness of the Kazakh language is manifested while describing the horse's coat color. No other country has such a rich vocabulary. The Kazakhs prefer dark blue horses. They are rare as well as tolerant horses. Most strong stallions were descended from this dark blue horse.
Сондай мықты жылқылардың бәрі осы қара көктен шыққан.
Қазақ даласында жаңағы әр тайпаға байланысты өзінің жаңағы түрлері болды. Кейбіреулер жаңағы шығыста орақбас жылқыларға қызығатын болды.
In the Kazakh steppes, each tribe tried to selectively raise own breed of horses. For example, in the east, people were interested in horses with convex head profile. In the south of the country, mainly gray and flea-bitten horses were bred. Therefore, the southern region is famous for strong gray horses. In central Kazakhstan, there are a lot of flea-bitten horses. Some tribes highly valued red horses.
Жылқыларға қызығатын болды жаңағы.
Horse breeding is a whole science for the rest of the world. The Kazakhs inherited this skill from their ancestors. Using this knowledge only for obtaining milk and meat is a real abuse of trust left by the previous generations. Now, for the development and restoration of Kokpar or Baige, we often apply foreign experience. But this is the same as trying to squeeze water out of the sand.
Біздің қазақстандық қауым, атбегілер қауымы көбінде жаңағы европалық, ағылшындық жылқыларды әкеліп, баптап, солар жаратып жатады. Солар жаратқанда байқасаңыз,
Our compatriots bring English horses from Europe to participate in the races and even breed them. These horses need special care. They are given vitamins with various additives. In a year, such a horse participates in 1-2 racings. You said that within 2 years, the Karabaiyrs every day participated in Kokpar. That is, these horses experience daily workload. Do you take care of them in a special way? How much fodder and vitamins do you give them?
дегенмен де сіздер енді бұл жылқыларға бір күтім жасайсыздар ғой.
Әрине.
Сонда қаншалықты жем бересіздер, болмаса жаңағы мүмкін сіздерде бір витамин бір нәрсе беретін шығарсыздар.
Біз тек қарапайым, осы Қарабайыр деген сөз қарапайым жылқы деген сөзден шыққан ғой. Байырғы қарапайым.
The word Karabaiyr means simple. That is, the care for the Kazakh horse breed is not difficult. We do not give them vitamins. They are fed with wheat and alfalfa. Sometimes we feed them with carrots, which, in my opinion, are an excellent source of vitamins.
Сәбіз беретін кездер болады. Ол кезде ол ең керемет көрген витаминдері сол сәбіз болған шығар.
In Kazakhstan, in order to feed one horse per year, 5 to 6 hectares of land are needed. With this aim, there are summer pastures and places for wintering. If you want to keep 500 horses, then you will need 2,500 hectares of land. But in no other country there are such opportunities. There were never herds of horses in Europe, like Kazakhs had. A man there can breed one horse only. He feeds the horse with wheat. What are the norms for horses grazing? Let's, for example, take Jambil region. According to technical calculations, a colt needs 19 hectares of pasture, but basically 25 hectares. In central Kazakhstan, 5 to 6 hectares, but a mare with a colt needs 3 to 4 times more land. In winter, herd grazes in the sands. In summer, in the mountains in the foothills of Alatau and Karatau. In spring and autumn, herds are moved into the areas near the sand pastures. They are grazing there until October, November, until snow falls. Horses use snow as their only source of water. Only then, the herd is moved to winter pastures. So horses are gradually moved into the foothills. 4 times a year, horses change their pasture locations. Now people prefer to graze their horses in the neighborhoods of their native village, where the quality of grass is very low. Correspondingly, the quality of meat will be low too. In any era, Kazakh horses have demonstrated their advantages and endurance. During the World War II, horses dragged cannons and machine guns from besieged Stalingrad to Berlin. Absolutely everyone recognizes the Kazakh horse's endurance. The historical literature contains a huge amount of facts describing the qualities of Kazakh horse. For example, the work of public figure of the early 20th century, Selim Gireyjan Torin, Essays on Kazakh horse breeding, published in 1983, indicates that the strength and endurance of the Kazakh horse have long been recognized by the Cossacks of Orenburg, Ural, and Siberia. Therefore, they ride only Kazakh horses. All Russian expeditions to the Central Asia were impossible without Kazakh horses. This was especially evident in 1873. During the campaign to Khiva, the Kazakh horse was especially distinguished with endurance and unique character.
Қазақ жылқысының қасиеті және өз баласына шаппау деген қасиет бар. Ол қазақ жылқысына тән. Одан кейін қазақ жылқысының
In the herd of Kazakh horses, crossbreeding of closely related ones is excluded. The leader stallion always defends the herd against wolves. The English or Arab horses from stud farms or stables are dependent. They can't graze on their own and get food. Besides, they can mate with their offspring. They have no corresponding natural instincts. But the Kazakh horses possess such instincts.
Өз байталына, өз қызына шаба береді. Себебі онда инстинкт жоқ. Қазақ жылқысында бар.
During the Russian-Turkish War in 1877-1878, the Ural Cossacks and the Russian Cavalry Regiment took part in the fighting. The latter experienced hardships because without a timely supply of cattle feed, horses began to starve and die. During the siege of Plevna, the horses of the Russian cavalry, which were unsuitable for the campaigns, descended on their knees to find the grass under the snow. But the Nogai horses of the Ural Cossacks that had best endurance did not suffer any losses. In order to get from Tashkent to Orenburg, 2 horses are ridden and the entire route is passed in 18 days. Count Zubov's 15-day trip from Vienna to Paris, which surprised the whole Europe, can be easily overcome by Kazakh horsemen. Alexander Wilkins. Another interesting fact. Now in the world, there are about 40 names of the horse equipment, and the Kazakh people have about 100 such designations. This proves one more time that the art of riding is in the genes of the Kazakhs. That's why we have so many names for our horses. For example, Saygulik, Kazanat, Tulpar, Argemak. There are endless amounts of such names. At the same time, each name has a meaning depending on the horse characteristics.
Қабанбай деген батырымыз, қас батырымыз, сол дерегі табылады Қытай архивтерінен қазіргі мына.
The data about the Kabanbai Batir was found in the Chinese sources. Now these data are widely spread on social networks. So Kabanbai Batir weighed 160 kilograms. Let's add 20 kilograms of equipment and his armor. In total, 180 kilograms. I do not think that a modern horse is able to withstand such a heavy man. Therefore, the horse that could carry 180 kilograms was called Kazanat.
Қазанат дегеніміз ол Қарабайырдың сұлтаны. Ол бір статус іспеттес. Себебі Қазанат деген атты ол бүкілін мойындатқан өнерімен де, бүкіл жүйріктігімен де, тектілігімен де, асыл тұқымдылығымен бәрімен.
Kazanat is the leader among all the Karabaiyrs. The title was given to a horse for its endurance, speed, pedigree, and character. There were many such horses in our history. For example, the famous Kulager horse of Kazakh poet Akan Siri, or an outstanding horse of Commander Kabanbay Batyr Kubas. The horse Ardak, raised here, is only 7 years old. He's really tireless during Kokpar and is very fast. Many people, especially our compatriots, say that this is a purebred English horse, but this is not true. He is an entirely purebred Kazakh Karabaiyr horse. He passed natural selection in the herd. A horse that can graze and move from pasture to pasture manifests real endurance and strength. Our duck horse is one of these horses.
Себебі бұл бүкіл сынақтардың бәрінен өткен, Kokparda da, үйірде де.
Kazakhs have always treated horses with love, gently calling them as tulparem or gemagem saigolegem. They were especially kind to them, because such a horse showed not only the status of its owner, but also glorified the whole village, family, and even the country.
Енді бұл ардақтың бітіміне келейікші, жаңа өзіңіз айтып өттіңіз, Kubas деп.
Can you tell us more about Ardak? Why are these horses called Kubas or dry-headed? If you look at a horse, you immediately pay attention to its head. Some horses have very large, fleshy heads. Usually such horses are raised for meat and dairy products. But Ardak, on the contrary, belongs to the so-called dry-headed horses. There is no fat in their heads. This indicates his good speed qualities. There is another difference. Pay attention to Ardak horses' hooves. They look like an upside-down cup. Kazakhs call such hooves as kuyma tuyak, a cast hoof or a hoof in the form of a cup. The muscular part of the sole lies very deep. It is overgrown with horny rimmed formations, strong as a bone. These horses are well suitable for long-distance travels. The muscular part of the sole does not touch the ground, does not heat up, and doesn't get injured. So our duck horse has such kuyma tuyak hooves. Kazakhstan is the homeland of the earliest known domesticated horse. In the previous program, we brought a lot of convincing evidence. As the Kazakh folk wisdom says, when I'm riding a horse, even the Khan hasn't got any authority. Men on horseback become stronger in spirit and ready to travel around the world. Thanks to the horses, Kazakhs have been able to conquer a huge territory from Altai to Atirai. From the first quarter of the 18th century and the 19th century, Kazakhstan was under the influence of Tsarist Russia. There were hard times, even dark days. There have been numerous attempts to make the nomadic population a settled people. But thanks to the wise personalities of that time, the image of the legendary Kazakh horse is reflected in the literary sources and traditions. In 1991, a new dawn came to independent Kazakhstan. We took a part of the blue sky and turned it into own flag. People waited for the glorious traditions of the Great Steppe to be revived soon. However, in the 2000s, people, instead of reviving the legendary Karabaiyr horses, preferred to fill their pockets with money. Riding a horse and seeing the boundless steppe, which turned into a large city, I now feel what have been lost once through centuries. This is not the end of our stories about legendary Karabaiyr breed. Next time, we will tell about the selection and reproduction of this horse breed. I am Akjol Taukan. Watch us on the YouTube channel Qazakh TV, subscribe and leave comments. Good day, and see you next time.